Coffey as the father. And I'm going to give you a couple of historical settings here. First of all, in Burma was an annex of India at that time, and there were lots of uprisings that were happening. So they lived in some challenging times. And what Mom remembers is that it was very important, she felt, from her father's perspective, that they have a childhood that was a childhood, not full of fear or anxiety or anything like that. And so in that sense, he was very protective but incredibly calm in the environment that they lived in sometimes. She told a story about the floods in Rangoon, where he was wading into water above his knees, and he found a tin tub, put Sai and Mum in the tub, floating on the water, pushed them along, and he said very calmly, "I'm just moving you to higher ground." So, unbelievable. So again, in these times of uprisings in India, Jhansi, Mum talks about in particular, she told a story of, and again, Toddy wasn't born then, but a story of Sai and Mum sleeping outside a lot, and they used to sleep under the magnolia trees, wake up in the morning, have these wonderful evenings, wake up in the morning to find the squirrels nibbling away at the dewdrops. And they had this wonderful carefree childhood. Meanwhile, she said, Mom and Dad, Granddad and Granny were sleeping with pistols under their pillows, just in case. But Mom also said that her dad reassured them that the natives were loyal and they would never harm them. So very important kind of information to have when you're growing up. Okay, shifting to Nelson. William had never really done hard labor and ended up having to do some hard labor in Nelson, and was involved in building this house in Appledale. And one of the things that he did, he wanted to create a family legacy, was that he had everybody, and Toddy would have been able to do this at that time, he had everybody write their name and the date on a block of wood, and then he put it between the walls and sealed it up. So who knows if the house is still there or not, but a wonderful legacy, thinking in that way. He also worked, I just discovered recently, for CPR as a cook. He made the best apple pie. So he thought he would try and teach his daughter Marge how to make the best apple pie. So Mom said, in fact, the first best apple pie she made was as hard as a rock, and you couldn't cut it with an axe. But he ate it lovingly anyway. Okay, so the last piece, all of us kids remember the stories of him taking Sai and Marge and Toddy into the forest, walks in the forest, and looking at the fairies and having them crouch down on their hands and knees and looking at these dewdrops again and saying, well, those are the fairies hanging out the laundry. And here is a bit of the poem that he sang, and who better than to say the first few lines, and I'm not going to do everything because I know we're short of time, but my mom. So my mom is reading a couple of the lines here, and I'm going to turn it off, but it's going to be this big. The audio is, I guess you're going to have to move closer. The audio is not that great.
On the kids.
Center on the kids. And I just want to tell you that the cord that you see is not a lifeline. It's the technology that I had to work with. It's the little speaker. So anyway, and my mom's giving the introduction, and she said she was actually kind of upset about her voice being not that great, but it's fantastic. So it's only a minute, Mike? Have we got a minute here? Okay, all right, I know we're on this time. Okay, so hang on, here we go. Can you see with the reflection here?
Si and I out in the woods in the back of Uncle Ernie's farm, and we would be shown all the fairy wash basins, the fairy washing hanging out to dry, and all these things that were special to Dad. He very much liked fairies, and believed in fairies and leprechauns and anything that was Irish and fanciful. And this is a poem he used to sing to me every once in a while. He had a wonderful singing voice and used to sing a lot. But this is the fairy thing. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we daren't go a-hunting for fear of little men. We folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, a white owl feather. Down along the rocky shore. Oh, Mr. Page. We daren't go hunting for fear of little men. Excuse me.
Okay.
Down along the rocky shore, some make their home. They live on crispy pancakes of yellow tide foam. Some in the reeds of the Black Mountain Lake with frogs for the watchdogs all night away.
Okay, Mom. Mom. Just the first stanza.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you have to say?
No, this book came to me by accident. When I was walking along Broadway one day, I saw it in a second-hand bookstore and thought, oh my goodness, that's the song Dad used to sing to me. So I bought it. I think I paid $1.50 or something for it. But I was so excited to find it. But he never ever sang the last part of the poem because I think he thought it was a little too grim. Anyway, it was nice to find the book, and I have given it to Zoe and hope she enjoys it. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
I wish I could be there. Take care.
She was bang on, but that's just the introduction. More if you want it, okay? But I know this is it. So, so I'm going to just hand it over to Alan right now. And Maureen's already told you the story about the display of temper and disappointment when all his trophies arrived, squashed except one. So, Alan.
Before you is the last. For those who don't know me, I'm Alan Ireland, and I'm the son of John Ireland. He was the son of Marge and John. John. As a former Canadian Forces member, it was passed on to me to be the keeper of the cup, just like Lord Stanley's cup. This is our Stanley Cup. Okay? Coffee. It's actually the Oppenheimer Cup. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know the name of the regiment now, so now I'll be able to get a hold of a historian and hopefully find out some more information. He obviously won it in the time period of 1911 and 1912 while he was in Burma, and the inscription reads, won by CSI Coffey. CSI, I'm going to assume, is either Commonwealth, senior instructor, or contingent, something like that. Hopefully we'll, and then underneath is the initials BRVC, which is probably the Burma Regimental Volunteer Corps. And then underneath is the score of 33 points. Probably out of 35. I couldn't see me 40, it had to be out of probably 35. So,
from a railway.
Is it? Oh, is this the railway?
Yeah,
Oh,
railway belongs to
oh, okay. I have been corrected. The historian has corrected me. And it is not solid silver. I took it to the British Antique Roadshow. When they- when-
Been to the roadshow.
Roadshow, yes. And they told me it was nickel silver plated, and I'm not to try and polish it or anything, or I will ruin it. So it has to stay the way it is.
Excuse me. Did he get any Victoria crossings?
No, he
We
didn't.
don't know.
Are you a Boston?
No, he didn't get the Victoria Cross. But we know he had 4 medals, but we don't know what they were.
And what are those medals on you?
What are my medals? This one is. I have to look at them. Sorry. Yep. The first one is a Canadian decoration. You get one after 12 years, and then every 12 or 10 years thereafter. So I have the first class, so that signifies at least 22 years service. The next one is my Kosovo medal. That's my most recent theater of operation. Next one was Bosnia. This was a UN mission back in 1988. I ran Iraq. And this was what they call the Canadian Peacekeeping Service Medal. Signifies that I had done a peacekeeping mission. And then this one is my the SSM, Canadian Service Medal. And I have the alert bar, which means I spent 6 months up in the Arctic. Okay, those are my medals.
Let's have a, for our sake.
Thank you.
Alan mentioned what a good, and the others have mentioned what a great shot our grandfather was. To be a great shot in the British Army at that stage meant that you had to hit the farthest tombstone over in that corner, maybe a bit further, 30 times out of 30 in 1 minute. When they ran into the German army in 1914, the Germans thought everybody in the army had a machine gun. And it was our grandfather who helped train the boys that stopped. It meant that we didn't lose the war in the first several months. So now we're going to shift to a much tougher person, our granny.